Alright, here is a read through of Ultra Game Players. I was always a Game Pro person, Game Pro magazine reader as a teenager. So I don't know how I ended up getting this. It just must have been one of them random pickups at the supermarket or what have you. So this is Ultra Game Players from April '97. It was $3.99, and let's see, it's issue number 96. On the front cover, there it says there is a 16-page Nintendo 64 code book inside. Okay, yeah, there's some information there. The website was ultragp.com. I doubt that's live anymore. Tomb Raider 2 was the cover feature here. Fighting Force and Ninja were a couple of games that were coming out. And see the Ninja there, Fighting Force. Inside, what's next for Sega. So this was April '97. Sega Saturn's on the way out, essentially. So the Dreamcast might be rumored at this point. Let's see, 20 games for the PlayStation: Lost World, Triple Play 98, Rage Racer, which was essentially Ridge Racer 3, Toshinden 3, which I enjoyed. I always enjoyed the Toshinden fighting game series, partly because they were more easier, button mashers and what have you, for a novice fighting game player. I have always been. Giant Code section, Game Day 97, Killer Instinct Gold, Virtual On, NBA Live 97. You got a little snippet here of Mario Kart 64. It's the little corner here, but I think that's in relation to the free 16-page N64 code book. So we inside cover here. Let's see, an ad. Again, the Sega Saturn is on its way out. So you have Sega really telling you, hey, guess what? Buy our system. You can buy 2 Sega Saturn games, get 1 free. So I imagine if you buy any of these 2, you might get 1 of these for free. Not a bad deal, considering Knights is fantastic. Sega Rally Championship, fun game. Virtual On, in my opinion, was okay. And if you're a soccer fan. But see, if this was back then, I would have picked, if I didn't have any of these. Well, Fighting Vipers. Man. That's a tough one. So Fighting Vipers and I guess Virtual Cop 2, but I would have had to have the gun. But knowing now, collector-wise, I guess I would have had to definitely have picked Dark Savior. That's going to end up being worth something. I'm not sure what Scorcher and Amok are going for, but considering I don't know too much about them, it's possible they might be worth something. So if anybody knows, leave a comment in the comment section. There's a ad for Turok the Dinosaur Hunter. That was a pretty epic game when it came out. For the most part, I mean, first of its kind. I mean, really, you're a first-person shooter going after dinosaurs. As a 15, 16-year-old boy, that was something to really be hyped about. It was tough with the controls. I remember trying to get used to them. But yeah, Turok was fun. There's a couple of remakes now on the Xbox Live Store and PlayStation Network Store and the Switch as well. Let's see, you got a table of contents here. You got special reports, first looks. game reviews, sports reviews and previews, codes and strategies, and letters. I always enjoyed reading letters, especially in GamePro. I really did. You know, this was your internet back in the day. Granted, the internet was probably, you know, it was out, but I mean, it wasn't something that you resorted to right away. Um, you know, and getting your information quickly, you know, was, you know, could be tough, you know, on the computer. But in any case, this was your internet. This is how you consumed information, especially in the video game world. So let's see, you got some featured games down here. Zelda 64. Seeing any screenshots of that in any magazine probably sold you a few million copies. I know that was extremely, extremely hyped. Blast Core, that's for the 64, I think. Rebellion, it's a Star Wars game. Mech Warrior 2, Genome, Amok, Doom 64. There's an ad for Test Drive Off-Road. Kind of a spin-off of the Test Drive series. They wanted to get into the truck craze of the mid to late 90s with racing games and off-road games on the PlayStation and N64. And it was an Accolade game here. Let's see. Editor Chris Slate. Final Fantasy VII. I'm not sure what this is, the disc. So this must have came with a play. Oh, you know what? This must have came with a demo disc. So it's possible I picked it up for the demo disc. Let's see what was on it. Playable demos for the PC. I definitely wouldn't have got it for that. For the Mac, I definitely would not have gotten it for that. So maybe not. Yeah, so maybe I didn't get it for the disc. But there was, it looks like maybe some movies for Final Fantasy VII here. We go deep into the game for scenes you won't see anywhere else. Yeah, okay, so video game movies. So yeah, you do have some videos for some games here. Toshinden 3, I would have been interested in that. Sega beds down with Bandai. I remember that. It was a merger. Let's see. Will this merger create a formidable force? Sega and Bandai have announced that the two companies will be merging their worldwide operations. Is this the power partner Sega needs, or is it just a rash attempt at putting off the inevitable? With the recent announcement of Bandai/Sega merger, both companies claim they will become a more formidable force in the business of entertainment. You know, let's jump ahead here. Sega GameWorks. The new age of arcades. Must have been an arcade in Japan. Where is Sega going? Can the Sega Saturn excel in the next generation console wars? After a strong holiday season largely based on the success of the 3 free software giveaway, Sega of America finds itself in an interesting position. Without the building momentum of a new and promising system like the Nintendo 64 or the massive install base of the PlayStation, Sega has some important decisions to make concerning the future of the Saturn. While continued success in Japan guarantees support of the system for some time to come, many gamers in America, including some Sega loyalists, have simply chosen to pass on the Saturn in lieu of the PlayStation and N64. Though the 1.6 million units said to be in North American homes is certainly nothing to sneeze at, it's nothing compared to the numbers of the Genesis and Super Nintendo. The Saturn will probably never even come close to matching those numbers. Perhaps the most interesting question of all, however, is whether or not they'll even try to match past successes with the Saturn. Though no one will argue with the fact that Sega had a strong sales surge during the holiday buying season, most would agree that its success was primarily based on the giveaway of 3 older but proven games. In an age where most hardware companies are reluctant to give away even one game, Sega's offer of Virtua Fighter 2, Virtual Cop, and Daytona was extremely attractive. Now that there are so many new Saturn owners, what can they expect in the form of support for their new system? According to Sega, they can expect less software this year, but of a higher quality standard, similar to the much heralded quality over quantity method of Nintendo. They can also expect a new emphasis on original titles, not exclusively from the arcade, and increased third-party support. Finally, they can expect a version of Virtua Fighter 3, never happened, accompanied by some form of hardware upgrade, which could play an important role in the future of the Saturn software. When considered all together, these goals represent a large part of Sega's overall commitment of '97, which is to make Saturn owners happy to own the Saturn system. Wow. There's the 32X. After the disastrous performance of the 32X, will this be the year of hardware upgrade? A hardware upgrade finally works out for Sega. A new, less titles, more quality approach from Sega would be just the thing they need to keep moving forward in the US market. Final Fantasy VII is finally out. Well, in Japan at least, that's what it says. So that was taking the world by storm over there. It would be a few more months until it reached American shores in September of '97. And some more information on Final Fantasy VII there. This one says options. I think it's talking about some accessories here. Here's a ad for Broken Helix. Not too familiar with that game, although it did come out for the PlayStation. Need for Speed 2. That was an absolute blast of a game to play. I think we're all familiar with the Need for Speed series by Electronic Arts. The first one, a lot of a nostalgia for. The second one, definitely some nostalgia for it. But the third one, I started losing some interest. I never was a car person. The sequel to Diablo, here's the wiretap. So sequel to Diablo is in the works. Of course, that was Diablo 2. Sega to lay off some personnel. What else is new? Tomb Raider 2 to offer different play modes. New quad CD for PlayStation. One rumor that has been circling for nearly 2 months now is that of a new revision for the PlayStation. Not PlayStation 2, but PlayStation 1.5. The new revision supposedly replaces the double speed CD mechanism with a quad speed drive and a larger CD buffer, supposedly 1 megabyte as compared to the 28K buffer currently on the PlayStation. If it could come to pass, the new combination could drastically reduce the load time on PlayStation titles. So that didn't come to reality, but there was a remodel, a remake of the PlayStation called PS1. It was much smaller. You can attach a screen to it and whatnot. It's pretty sharp looking. There's a ad for Swagman. Wasn't my thing. Here's a, I guess the title article here, or cover article. Tomb Raider 2 Ninja Fighting Force. It's talking about the developer core. Some interesting read here. This is talking about Ninja Fighting Force. Fighting Force was not bad. I mean, it was kind of like a 3D Streets of Rage. Here's some previews. Zelda 64. I mean, people would have bought this magazine just to get new glimpses of Zelda 64. So here's an ad for Scud, the disposable assassin. So, The Lost World. I was really hyped for this game because the movie was so hyped as well. And anything to do with dinosaurs I was into back then. And the game was, to me, underwhelming. But if you ask me, Zelda 64 should have been over here. Should have been the first one. I wasn't necessarily a big Zelda person. I know that sounds crazy, but I just never was. But I ultimately ended up getting the game, got hyped up for it, bought into the hype for it, and of course enjoyed it. 64DD or not to be? This is the question. Of course, we all know 64DD did not come out in the States, only in Japan. But as far as I'm concerned, Zelda 64 did not need the disk drive. So, 2-page ad for MechWarrior 2. Overblood. What is this? So it looks like there's an error in the magazine, and they have Battle Arena Toshinden screenshot here in with this game, which it should not have been. That's funny. Oh yeah, it should have been down here. So actually, you can see it's the same screenshot. It's a funny little error. Battle Arena Toshinden 3. Huge roster, huge number of unlockables. Clay Fighter 63 1/3, a little bit of a Mortal Kombat trilogy play here. There's an ad for the Justifier, which was a gun accessory for the PlayStation and Saturn. Crypt Killer, Lethal Enforcers 1 and 2. Definitely some 90s here with some rollerblades. Dynasty Warriors. I remember buying that for the first time. Again, I don't know what I had no business buying fighting games, but I had a best friend at the time that I was always trying to impress with new games, and I wanted to show him, like, hey, look, forget Tekken, look at this game. This is a new fighting game. See, and try and gain his interest, and maybe me and him can, pretty much get into a new game. But I was underwhelmed with this. It was definitely no Tekken, although of course we all know what happened with the Dynasty Warriors franchise. It blew up into pretty much its own genre, but yeah, it started out as a fighting game, and this article very well may have sold it on me. There was a 3-page ad for a baseball game called Grand Slam. Star Fox 64, of course. Star Fox 64 introduced to the world for the first time, as far as I'm concerned, for the first time ever, rumble in your controllers on consoles. That was revolutionary. Yoshi's Island 64. Blast Corps. Yeah, this was the game made by Rare. Okay. Star Fox 64 was fantastic. A lot of nostalgia for that game. I would just sit there and watch my best friend at the time play that for hours, because I was no good. Nice page ad for the Toshinden 3 game coming out. Rebellion for the PC. Hexen 64, which was just called Hexen. Definitely picked that game up at the time, and I thought it was going to be like Doom, like strictly like Doom, but there was some RPG elements in the game. It just wasn't for me, so I was underwhelmed with it. I definitely ended up picking it up probably about a couple of years ago for 10 bucks. I think at the farmers market around here. Wild Arms RPG, Broken Helix. As I said earlier, I wasn't too familiar with that one. Get Shafted for the Last Time. This is a fold-out ad here. What is this? Oh, Descent Maximum. So didn't get into that game. PlayStation. Theme Hospital. I definitely wasn't into any of those. Vandal Hearts, I believe, was an RPG. Top Gear Rally. I was really into getting this game for the Nintendo 64, mainly because you can customize your car. The painting. That was really cool to me. I do remember picking that up. I enjoyed it. It wasn't the greatest racing game, but there's a release list coming out. Nintendo 64. One game in April. Blast Corps, compared to all these for the PlayStation and a few for the Saturn. Actually, not a bad amount for the Saturn. In the next month in May, a few games for the Nintendo 64. A nice amount for the PlayStation and a nice amount for the Saturn. June, just a few games for the Nintendo 64. I mean, to be a Nintendo 64 in the early days, to be a Nintendo 64 fan in the early days, was tough. You got few and far between when it came to game releases, but for the most part, I mean, Blast Corps was fun. Then you had to wait for, Dark Rift was nothing to write home about. Robotron X, as far as I'm concerned, wasn't. Hexen 64, mediocre rental. If you waited to June, you would have gotten GoldenEye 007, Star Fox 64. So you would have been very busy. July, not much as far as I'm concerned. And summer months were tough anyway when it came to game releases. Didn't see too much. Here come the reviews. Turok the Dinosaur Hunter got an 8.3 out of 10. I would agree with that. Shootout 97. I was a big sports fan, but I don't know if I picked that one up or not. Nice coupon code from Sears. Here's a Muck. Again, not familiar with it, but it didn't score too good. 6.4 out of 10. Independence Day. I remember, I think I did buy that at launch. Again, a movie game, but for a teenager, I bought into the movie, bought into the hype of the game, and definitely paid for it. It was 5.3 out of 10, so it wasn't very good. Die Hard Arcade. I'm pretty sure I had that. I don't anymore, but that got an 8.2 out of 10 it was fun. Vandal Hearts, wasn't into it, but it did get an 8 out of 10, so that's good. Here's an ad that got a little folded. With player strikes, free agency, and contract disputes, just how bright is the future of sports? This is an ad for Ball Blazer. So it's a futuristic sports game. Looks similar to oh man, I'm forgetting that sports game that's popular right now with the cars and the ball. Oh my goodness, I'm forgetting the name of it. In any case, Nanotech Warrior, don't know too much about that. 8.3 out of 10, so that's not bad. Tecmo's Deception, I did not buy that, although I was a big fan of Tecmo games, especially the sports ones. But as far as, I think that's a RPG. Get on their mailing list. Tecmo was notorious for doing stuff like this. You could mail this in, and you'll get some stuff in the mail from them, some promotional material to read. Doom 64 got an 8.5 out of 10, rightfully so. It was just a very dark game. Rage Racer, 7.9. I think that should have been a little higher. I actually had a ton of fun with this one. I think I even beat it. I really did like this one. Realms of the Haunting, don't know much about that PC game. Mech Warrior 2 for the PlayStation got 7.9 out of 10. Here's another Sears ad, Funtronics. They had a little arcade, they had a little electronics area they called Funtronics, and you can get $10 off that game. I did get this one for the PlayStation for Christmas one year. Command and Conquer. The newest Star Wars adventures are coming to television on your PlayStation, and you can find them on this station. So they're talking about Dark Forces and Rebel Assault 2. Die Hard Arcade ad, Genome 8.0 out of 10 for the PC CD-ROM. There's a ad for VR Baseball 97. Didn't like that series of baseball games. I didn't think the graphics were very good, very choppy. Sportsline, here we go. Let's see, are these previews or reviews? They look like they're previews. World Series Baseball 3 for the Saturn, which I don't think came out. May have been called 98. Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball for the 64. Hold on, SNES. Verdict on last year. The SNES version looked amazing on the 16-bit game, and it played smooth as well. Scattering report, no player license killed last year's game, but if Nintendo forks out the player's license, the N64 could be getting some great baseball. So this is a screenshot of last year's game. That's why I was confused. So this is some previews. Yeah, these are all previews. Triple Play 98, All-Star Baseball featuring Frank Thomas 97, Atomic Bomberman for the PC, VR Baseball 97, FIFA 97. Tiger Shark, I bought that. Was definitely underwhelmed with that one. It was an underwater and above water air and I guess sea battle game. But I bought into some hype on that one. Did not enjoy it. Here's some ratings. This month's top picks: Doom 64, Command and Conquer, Turok, Nanotech Warrior, Realms of the Haunting, Jet Moto, spotlight on that down here. Spotlight on Twisted Metal 2. Here's the game shop. I guess this is where they are selling some stuff there. Let's see. This is talking about some events coming up. All Access, Die Hard Trilogy. Oh, these are the some cheats here. So this is where we start getting into cheats, tips, hints, strategies. Rage Racer Code Rage. Could have used probably a few codes for this game. Killer Instinct Gold, Golden Codes, Extra Options, Uniforms. Virtual On, Shadows of the Empire, Challenge Pointers. Diablo codes for the PC. Mech Warrior Strategy, I think. Network connection. I guess we're talking about some online stuff here. Or maybe this is letters. Okay, letters from our readers. Let's see. He's Blue 2. From what I've seen so far in your magazine, the graphics for Resident Evil 2 don't look nearly as good as the graphics in Resident Evil. First of all, everything is choppy. The polygons are rough and jagged. And second, why are the backgrounds almost completely blue? Is this just because the screenshots you showed were not 100% done, or is this how the game will really look? Also, is there any word yet if you can walk around outside in the town? The editors said, the writer said, well, Doug, you've got to keep a couple of things in mind when looking at these new screenshots. First of all, most of them are from the same area, the police station, which does have a very blue color scheme in the background. But again, that's just one area. Second, many of these first screens came from videotape and others not so great sources, so their quality is very rough. Rest assured, you won't be disappointed. Let's see. I feel no bias here. I feel as though your mag picks on my Sega Saturn. Saying the Sega Saturn is an unstable choice in your holiday magazine was a bit rash. I can understand ranking the Nintendo 64 lower, but the Saturn? One, do you favor the PlayStation? Since you always broadcast your feelings, I felt like broadcasting mine. Two, why do you feel that sales make a difference in the quality of a system? And he is answered with, poor baby, where were you? Were excuse me, poor baby, were we being mean to your Sega Saturn? Wake up, kid. We don't pick on any system or game without solid facts behind it. There are plenty of consumers out there who haven't bought a system yet, and our holiday analysis of the system was an attempt to tell them which system does what. In the text, we clearly stated the Saturn's strengths and weaknesses. We did the same thing for the PlayStation and N64. As for the sales dictating how good or bad a system is, you misinterpreted that. What we were saying is because the Saturn isn't selling as well, the many third parties will turn to Sony and Nintendo to make their games, leaving the Saturn without quality third-party software. If you're happy with your Saturn, then you have no worries. Alright, I have a page ripped, or no, this is just ripped, okay. There's a little shot of the N64DD right here. Wow. Alright. And Game Boy Pocket Color ad to end the magazine. Game Boy Pocket, now in 6 tasty colors. This is not to be confused with Game Boy Color. This was still just a smaller version of the monochrome Game Boy, just with colors. So, different colors of the hardware. And the back ad here looks like for Psychic Force, which was a 3D fighting game, I believe, like in the air. I think I played this, and I don't remember it being very good. But in any case, thanks guys for tuning in. And this is probably my most obscure gaming magazine that I have, and maybe I'll pick another GamePro to read next time. Let me know in the comments, I guess, what you think, what you want to see next, what month of GamePro in the late 90s, early 2000s that you want to see, and I'll see if I have it and I'll read it. Thanks, guys.